Welcome back into the Dewsweepers, everybody. Real treat for all of us out there joining us here, actually for the first time on the show, on the tee with me, one of the great teachers in the game of golf and one of the hottest teachers out there on the PGA Tour from Cartersville, Georgia, Mr. Scott Hamilton. Scott, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, man.
Appreciate you coming on the show. Everything going good for you?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I'd love to have all my guys playing good all the time, but that's pretty hard to do in golf. But all in all, I'm doing pretty good.
That's yeah, I know the feeling. It's tough it seems like every time you get one or two playing good and you think you got it going, somebody else starts playing bad. It never ends, does it?
Yeah, I know with me, I teach so many guys that, I never really worry about the guy playing good. I mean, obviously not, but the guy playing bad's the one I'm always fretting over and thinking about. So,
Well, for those of us on the Gulf Coast, and you've done a wonderful job with one of the most popular guys out there, Boo Weekley. I've known Boo a long time, and it's been really fun to watch his rebirth out there. Has had a fantastic year, and when I look at so many of the average golfers out there, the club level golfers, if you can get them hitting it more solid and make them better ball strikers, it's a real treat. And Boo is certainly in the category of one of the best ball strikers. If you don't mind, talk about some of the things that you do with him and that he does so well that makes him such a good ball striker.
If somebody would have asked me a few years back before I taught Boo, if I could pick anybody on the PGA Tour to teach, it would have been Boo Weekley, just because I love lag and I like how he hammers down on it. And the thing with Boo is he plays with a strong grip. He gets the club. His backswing position's awesome going up, and then he brings the club straight down on top of the ball. Very little curve in there. The thing that I like about Boo, and that I think the average guy can learn, is to keep the ball forward and stay behind it. He does such a good job. He's not real wide, but he keeps the ball up in a stance with all his clubs, and with his strong grip and the lag he has, it allows him to get it airborne, but also he can flight it like crazy. So the thing that I think Boo does so great is he has awesome lag, or how the club comes down into the golf ball, and he has great hand action. Hand action is really how you square the club through the hit. So not only does he hit down on it, but two or three frames up in front of the hit, the shaft's still in line with the left arm, and the face is in line with the shaft. So that combination's deadly, man, and that's really what I try to teach all my guys to do. I'm trying to teach people to swing it in a circle with a quiet face and have their head behind the ball of impact for the average shot.
And that concept, and I love it. It's a lot like what I try to get my folks to do. And Scott, I mean, when you boil it down, I mean, that's really pretty simple. And so many folks to me seem to make it just so much harder than it is. But if they can get hitting down on that ball and get the shaft on plane and a square face, I mean, they're going to hit it a whole lot better than they are now, and really probably be able to control the golf ball better.
Yeah, like I tell people whenever I start teaching them, I teach really four things. I teach ball position. Ball position is what determines when the club head arrives at the ball in relationship to the low point of the left shoulder. The narrow, and I have pretty much everybody play the ball off their left foot like Nicklaus and Hogan played. If you have a wide right foot, the club head arrives later and you have less forward lean. If you have a narrow right foot, the club head arrives sooner and you have more forward lean. I teach pivot. Pivot's the term that I use for how you wind up. I want your hips to turn in place, and if you're a right-handed golfer, have your left shoulder aligned with your right shoulder at the top of the swing. Hand action, that's how you square the club. I want a perpendicular club face to the plane, and then plane. I want a guy to have the club on plane. I want him to swing in a circle. And the thing that I see that the more that I teach and the longer I've done it, I tell people all the time, I'm really a backswing instructor, because guys that play at the highest level on the PGA Tour have got to be able to play off speed. The only way you can truly play off speed is you got to have the club always pointed at the golf ball, so you can swing the club back any length, any speed, and then when the club comes back down without pressing it at the top, it relatively is going to go in a straight line with decent hand action. So those are kind of the main variables I teach. And I hang out with all the other instructors on tour. I'm friends with a lot of them. A lot of times, we sit around, Boo and I did earlier this year with one of the well-known instructors, and I were talking a little bit about TrackMan and other stuff, and I always kind of keep it simple, stupid for my guys. And the guy walked off, and Boo looks at me and he goes, "Is he launching the space shuttle, or is he talking about the golf swing there?" And I'm like, well, you know. I said, well, he's talking about the golf swing. He goes, man, that's complicated. Well, I mean, I know the same thing. I just try to dumb it down for my guys, because all a golfer cares about is, does the ball land where they're pointing it? I mean, they don't care about the other things. I mean, you can make yourself sound as smart as you want, but it doesn't do anything for the golfer. That's kind of my take on my instruction style. So,
well, I love it. You know, was going to follow it up with a question about, you know, obviously the TrackMans, the flight scopes, they're real important. But, you know, how important do you really think that for good players, knowing all that information and knowing all that stuff is? I think that really good players, the more simple they keep it, the less they're really not trying to think when they're out there. They know what their golf swing or what their good swing feels like, and they're just trying to make it feel that way all the way around.
Yeah, I think, you know, TrackMan's a great tool. I use it. I'm using it. Actually, I'm giving a lesson to a kid that plays at South Carolina right now. And TrackMan is a great tool as a reference point. Like, I've seen guys use it, and you can pick up to like 20 things that you can put up on the screen. I normally put up 1 or 2 things, swing direction and attack angle, trying to zero those 2 things out and keep it simple. The thing that I see with good players, what I do like about TrackMan is if you give them a reference number, like let's say with a 6-iron you want to hit down on at 4 and you want to swing the club, your swing direction 2 degrees left to zero it out. If you show a guy that and you just put those 2 numbers up on the screen and he's a good player, he can achieve it. But if you put 15 things up there and you show him club path and face to path and launch and spin axis, I mean, then he just gets confused and it's too much. So I really use the TrackMan the same exact way that I teach. I just take little parts of it, and I let the guy kind of attach himself to that and work until he gets that going on. Because, you know, I've always been a video instructor. I've only had a TrackMan for like the last year. I had a flight scope first, and then I got a TrackMan. And, you know, I've learned a lot of things where I thought I was teaching a guy, you know, I taught Jason Bone for years. I thought I was teaching him to cut it. He really hit it dead straight. Really what I did was zero him out. So I'm evolving all the time as an instructor. But, you know, that's kind of how I use TrackMan.
And we're going to wrap this up. Got about a minute left, Scott. How do you apply the technology and the TrackMan and stuff to when somebody that's a 15, 18 handicap comes to you? How much of the information do you give them, and do you use it exactly the same?
No, like a 15 handicap, I probably would use video, because with a 15 handicap, very rarely are you not working on the fundamentals and the mechanics of the swing. So I probably wouldn't even, to be honest with you, unless I was hitting them for a driver with a flawed swing, I wouldn't use TrackMan. I would use video and show them and use visuals and then give them some drills and stuff to try to improve. And the bulk of the time, I'm telling you, if you're a 15 handicap and I give you a lesson, I'd say 95% of the time I'm going to work on your pivot, because if you pivot properly, the club's going to find the plane. I believe that, like, when I first started teaching, I did lots of arm swings. Like if a guy was over the top, I'd have him swing the club down under a foamy or something. Well, the truth of it is, if you don't fix the pivot, then he's going to get right back on the course, and the club's going to go right back over the top. So that's kind of the route I always go.
Scott,
especially with
great insight, great help. I really appreciate you taking the time. It's been real fun listening to you and talk about the golf swing and talk about Boo. Hopefully down the road you'll take the time and we can catch up with you and learn more about the golf swing and help some folks play better.
You got it, man. Thanks for calling me.
All right, talk to you later. That's Scott Hamilton, one of the great teachers in the game. I'm Tony Ruggiero. I want to remind all the Dewsweepers, all the information you need, help for your games available for you at dewsweepersgolfshow.com. That's dewsweepersgolfshow.com. The Dewsweepers will be back next week with more help for your golf game.